Hello, welcome to our STEAM Marble Fun. As you probably know, twice a month, we offer STEAM programs through our Facebook page on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 4 o'clock. That means that you can watch the program at 4 o'clock, and then you have the opportunity to watch the program again anytime you like after that first showing. So after the first showing, you have the chance to stop your Facebook video if you'd like and go from there. So what is Marble Fun? We're doing 4 different projects today, and we know there's kids of all different ages, and so you just do whatever projects you want and do whatever ability that you have, level that you want to approach. We're going to encourage you to use recycled materials and any kind of toys or games or anything that you have that might be useful, but just check with your parents before using materials. So for our first project, we are going to be doing marble run. What kind of materials may you need for marble run? Well, a box like this that has a lid, more of a lid, so you have an edge to it, works well. Or I was looking around and I saw I had this old pan. We use this pan, we go to a family camp once a year, and we use this type of pan when we're going to be tie-dyeing shirts. But I can use this pan now as a marble run, a marble maze, and then after I'm done, I can take the parts off of it. So a pan like that, maybe even a cookie sheet that has that similar kind of design with the edge on it. So we also, you may want cardboard and ask your adult to cut up cardboard and some kind of tape. I had some of these planks for building, and I decided I could use those. So if you have something like that, or blocks, wooden blocks, all those are great materials. Later on, you'll see where I use some clay, or you could even use colorful straws to make your maze, whatever you see. We just want to be creative and have fun. And along the way, maybe you'll learn a few science terms. So to get started, I made a maze like this. So you can decide wherever you want to start, and you might even put start, and you can decide where you want to finish. And I kind of made mine more random. I just put pieces all over. I did kind of make sure that it worked. I decided to make a curly cue thing here. I thought that would be fun. And you could even, if you want to have more fun playing, you could start at a different location and end in a different location, whatever you want to do. So next step is I'm going to show you how to put these pieces on, because this can be kind of a confusing part of how to put those pieces on to make it a little easier to do. I first take already cut up piece of cardboard, and I'm going to take some masking tape, and I'm going to only put a half of the masking tape on there. So on this side, you can see, if I lift it up, you can see not all of it stuck to it. On this side, you see that the sticky stuff is hanging out. I'm going to hold on to it like this as I'm putting it on my cardboard. So I'm going to put it on my cardboard like this. But it's still not very stable. It still has a lot of flexibility. So the next part is I'm going to hold it down here and put a piece of masking tape there. So I'll first pull off a piece of masking tape. I'm folding back down the edge. Again, I'm only going to put part of my masking tape on. It's not stuck yet. I'm going to hold it back like this. Stick it up, and then with my fingers, I'm going to put the masking tape down. And now you can see that's a pretty strong thing. let's try it again. I'll take another piece and take my masking tape. I only did half of it. I'm going to hold it up here with my, letting it stick to my finger. And I'm going to put this one at an angle this time. And I'm going to put it here at an angle and stick it down. And why I chose that way is because now it's easy for me to put my flap down here to put my second piece of masking tape. If I had done it the other way, if I had put it this way, then it's not as easy to put my second piece of masking tape on. So if you plan ahead, if you can plan ahead and see, well, now how is it going to be easy or hard for me to put the second piece of masking tape on? That's what you do. I get my masking tape, stick it here. I haven't completely put it down yet. Hold my piece the way I want it to go down. And now I rub my piece of masking tape on and I have a pretty good start of a maze. So how else can you make mazes? Well, with that, my pan here, I use some clay, or this is actually Model Magic. It's just something I saw that I had extra. How do you think I made the green pieces, or how did I get the green pieces? If you worked with clay before or Play-Doh, you know that if you take two colors, blue and yellow, and you kind of mix them and keep mixing them, you can create another color. And so that's how I made an extra color here of green. So this is a maze too. So how do we use our mazes? Well, it's a little hard to see because usually you hold it flat and you just kind of move it as you want the marble to go through. But I'm going to try to keep it upright for a while so you can just see that you put the marble in and you go back and forth until you get through the maze. All right. Well, I have a couple more ideas of other materials that you might want to use for your maze. You could use Legos, and then these are pool noodles. And you always want to have kind of a slope. Otherwise, if it's just flat, then the marble's not going to move. And we'll talk a little about that in a minute. But just make a tower, and this side of the tower would be higher so the marble moves down. And so that's an idea of how you can make it another kind of marble run. Maybe you have train tracks at your house instead of Legos, or you could also run a marble along a train track. The same thing applies, so you would want these wooden boards to be higher where your starting point is. I'm back again with a different marble run. This marble run uses inclined planes or ramps. So those are these little planks at an angle. So it assists a marble to go from one level to another level. This also uses gravity. Well, what is gravity? Gravity is a force that pulls on an object, and the Earth's gravity is a force that pulls objects towards the center of the Earth. That's why when we drop something, like a ball, it drops to the ground. Let's see how this marble run works. Okay, let's try here. It went right into the cup. Okay, let's try a different spot. Let's try here. All right, so you can see how this works, where the marbles start at the top and move down into the cups. So this is just another option that you might want to try. Our next activity is called Marble Momentum. You can join in the fun too. Get a couple of yardsticks or a couple of rulers. I'm using paint stirrers because that's what I had available. And get a few marbles. First, I've lined up 4 marbles. They're touching each other. They're all in a row. The paint stirrers are just there to help kind of keep the balance of the marbles. I'm going to take another marble and I'm going to roll it towards those other 4. Before I do that, make a prediction. What do you think will happen? That's what scientists do, is they always predict what they think's going to occur. Are you ready? Let's give it a try. So when I hit that row of 4 marbles, only the end marble rolled off. Okay, let's try it again, except this time I'm going to roll 2 marbles towards the 4. Do you have a different prediction this time? I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, let's see what happens. This time, when I rolled 2 marbles towards that row of 4, the 2 end marbles rolled off. The rolling marbles have momentum. So when the one marble hit the other marbles, the momentum passed from one to the next, and that's why 1 marble rolled off. But when we use 2 marbles, that has more momentum than when we used 1. So when we roll those 2 marbles, 2 of the marbles rolled away. You can take another look at this and you can put a whole bunch of different combinations of marbles and see what happens. Have fun. Our next activity is going to be making the marble roller coaster. Our third activity of the day is to make marble roller coasters. Before we make our own, let's talk about some real roller coasters. Even though a roller coaster looks a lot like a train, it doesn't have any engine. So in order to get up to the top of the hill, it needs a chain to pull it all the way up. And you might remember the clicking sound that the roller coasters make as they go up the hill. It goes click, 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 click. After it reaches the top, then the roller coaster is powered by gravity and momentum. And let's talk a little about potential energy. If there's a wrecking ball at rest, there's no potential energy. So that would be like this picture. Once that wrecking ball is pulled up, though, now there's potential energy. Now when that ball is released, there's energy that can go and knock down a wall or a building. So when it's at this state, it's potential energy. That's something similar to a roller coaster. As the roller coaster goes up here, it's building potential energy. And so when it's at the top, it has potential energy. Then the roller coaster can go down the ramp using gravity, and also that potential energy turns into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion. So it keeps going, and that energy can be used to then go over a second hill. The second hill is usually smaller than the first because there's also a loss of energy due to friction. Friction is the resistance of one surface when moving over another. So if you rub your hands together, it's not a smooth motion. Your fingers are rubbing against each other. And if you go really fast, your hands are even going to get warm. And so with a roller coaster, there is friction on the track as well as air resistance. So both those slow down or lose energy. So what do we need to create our roller coaster today? Well, again, we're just trying to use as much recycled things as we can. And maybe you're lucky enough to have pipe insulation. And so when pipe insulation is sold, it's usually at like Home Depot or Lowe's or something. It comes around to, I got the tube that had the biggest hole in it, so that the marble will be able to go down it better. But when pipe insulation comes, it has a slit here. And when you use pipe insulation, it's when it's really cold outside and you have exposed pipes and you don't want the water to freeze. And so it has that slit so this can go over the pipe. But that helps us because we can start another slit on this side and actually pull it apart and make two parts for our roller coaster. And what's nice about pipe insulation is it's very flexible, that you can make loops. So you can make small loops, you can make larger loops. And I'll show you in a minute more of how to connect this loop together. But you might have instead, you might have pool noodle. And again, I cut this in half. Make sure your grown-ups help me with that. I seared the pool noodle with a utility knife. So I didn't cut all the way through. I just cut a line and then I used scissors and cut it the rest of the way. So it's not as flexible, but it can still make a loop. It's just probably going to be a bigger loop. And so it also is, we need a lot more of the tape down here to keep the loop intact. But even if you don't have either one of those, you can make a paper loop. And hopefully you have some cardstock that's heavier paper, or some other type of thing that you can use. I use a folder, and I cut out a 3-inch strip. And I am going to first fold over about 1 inch. Maybe it's less than 1 inch, I don't know. It's just rough estimate. And then I'm going to fold over on the other side, the same thing. And then I'm going to cut little slits along the way. So there's slits along the way. And to make it round, I'm just gonna overlap a little and put a piece of tape there. So here is kind of a closer look of one that's done. I actually had to use several pieces of the 3-inch folder and tape them together, but it's manageable. It works. So that's another alternative. Then tapes, it would be good to have some duct tape. That's when you want to tape the loop together, but you want to use some kind of painter tape or something that's not going to stick to walls or tables or chairs when you're trying to then place this on the floor or on a table to help steady it. So that's the regular tape. And then if you're going to make your own loops, then the regular tape helps you put that together. So I will start out with showing how to make a loop. So it's kind of better to start out with making a smaller loop first. So I'm going to have to put some duct tape here. And let me cut that. A piece of duct tape. And then I'm going to also put some duct tape inside, but I don't want to interfere with the track because that's one thing that will keep this from running smoothly. If we have a whole bunch of tape in the middle of the track and don't smooth it down, then that's going to interfere with the marble going down. So let me get another piece of tape for the inside. And If you need more tape on the outside, you can do it, but the inside then should just be so it's taping it together. So, oopsie, there we go. So anyway, that's a quick way of putting together your loop. And you may have to put more tape back here. We probably need at least another piece here. And that's how we're going to do our tape on our loop. You can also make heels, so you don't even need, so oops, heels like this. So you don't need to make a loop if you don't want to, or you can make a loop and put some heels in. And now let's see how to set up our marble roller coaster. Let's see how we're setting up our roller coaster. I put one pipe insulation piece attached to a sliding glass door. I'm using pretty good tape on that because it won't hurt the surface of the glass door. Then we have our loop that we're going to stand up in a second. And at the end of the loop is a cup, a paper cup, so that it will catch all those marbles so the marbles won't go on the floor. So again, we have our pipe insulation down here, and we're going to concentrate on how to put the two pieces together. I'm going to cut a piece of duct tape, put it underneath one side and on the other side, and that will keep that pretty well together. But now we need to put some masking tape or painter's tape to hold these pieces upright. So I'm trying not to interfere with the track by putting the pieces only up to the side of the track, and that holds that pretty steady. Now we need to hold our loop end steady. So I'm putting tape here, and now I'm going to have to move closer to where our loop is and add some more tape. You may even have to use a book or something to hold this up so it stays upright. But we'll see if we can make the tape work. Oh, it's looking pretty well. Good. Okay. And so that's pretty good. Now I'm going to just add a couple pieces down at the end. To keep it steady. And do you want to test it out? Should we test it out? I'm going to get a marble and see what happens. Okay. So we're going to test our marble roller coaster. All right. This time we're going to concentrate on the loop-to-loop. Now that we were successful in doing one loop-to-loop, let's add a larger loop, as you can see in the background. Do you remember where we should put the bigger loop? Is it in front or behind the smaller loop? I think I heard the right answer. It's in front of the smaller loop. That way there's more momentum built up from the larger loop so that the marble can go through the smaller loop. I'm going to put that together and then we're going to test it. This time we added a larger loop in front of our smaller loop and also extended the pipe insulation so that we would get more momentum. I'm going to concentrate on filming the loop action. Wow, success! we encourage you to make lots of loop-de-loop marble roller coasters. Add some hills, maybe a twist. You could even make some kind of tunnel for your roller coaster to go through. If you enjoy these type of experiments, the library does have lots of books such as Experiments in Motion, What Are Forces and Motion, Experiments with Gravity, and Science Experiments with Gravity and Motion. These are just a few of the books that we offer. A little later, I'll explain a little more about how to put books on hold. Now we're going to talk about Rube Goldberg machines and make some. So who was Rube Goldberg? He was a famous cartoonist, and he was famous for making lots of complicated cartoons that resulted in some kind of action where it would be really easy to do the action yourself. Here's an example. Here's a napkin and the man is eating soup. So it'd be really easy to pick up a napkin and wipe off your mouth. But he put a device together that once he picked up his soup spoon, then that was going to cause number B to be activated, number C, which is to have something up in the air, a cracker for a parrot, and it had all these little different chain reaction type of things, including, it looks like a rocket ship that finally would pull on this string and would be what would wipe his mouth. So this is called self-operating napkin. Another one of his cartoons was a self-operating umbrella. Again, it's easy to put up an umbrella when it's raining, but they put together this different kind of devices that when it feels rain, then his umbrella is going to open. He never made any of these devices, even though he had an engineering degree. When people started making these complicated machines that did simple tasks, they started calling them Rube Goldberg machines after his cartoons. So a Rube Goldberg machine is doing some kind of chain reaction using different materials to accomplish some kind of easy task. So if you want to build a Rube Goldberg machine, you can just have different chain reaction things. You don't have to worry about, initially you don't have to worry about having some task at the end. But I'm going to set up our first Rube Goldberg machine, and we're even going to be using the marble roller coaster as our first thing in our chain reaction. What do we want to accomplish with this Rube Goldberg machine? We want to pop that balloon. We're starting out with our big loop-de-loop marble roller coaster. When the marble comes down, it will hit the bus, making the bus move. The bus has a needle in the front, and we hope to pop that balloon. Let's see if we're successful. Yeah! In this next chain reaction, we have a long tube that we're going to use to have a golf ball hit the airplane. The airplane will hit the dominoes, and at the last domino, there's a little container of vinegar. And below the vinegar is some baking soda. So we're hoping to cause a chain reaction that will cause a chemical reaction. Let's give it a try. Now that you learn more about Rube Goldberg machines, We hope you make a lot of your own creations. To help you learn a little more about chain reactions, there is a book called Build Your Own Chain Reaction Machines. It's a complicated book, but it does have step-by-step instructions. The other two books listed on this page tell you a little more about Rube Goldberg and his cartoons. You can put holds on these books by going to www.sccld.org. Once your holds come in, you'll get an email, and then you can go to the door at specific hours of your favorite library. As you can see, you can use lots of different materials to build your Rube Goldberg machine. You can use any kind of ball, from small to large. You can use different types of simple machines, such as pulleys, wedges, ramps. You can use lots of different materials, and you can start out small, put two things together. When you see that works, add a third and make a huge chain reaction. Thank you for joining us for this STEAM program. We offer STEAM programs twice a month on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock. The next STEAM program will be on Tuesday, February 9th at 4 o'clock on Facebook, SCCLD Facebook page. And the topic is, why do sharks float? So join us again in a couple of weeks. Thank you.